I think that I should start a new segment called Noelle Lore, with the beginning of each video being me talking a little bit more about myself. Because we're in the comments now, I feel like you guys can know a little bit more about me. And I promise this ties in today's video, which is that I really did not want to be on camera. You may be wondering why. And that is because my body has told me that I am currently not with child. And it has told my face that it needs acne to be able to tell me that for some reason. And it's been painful, and it doesn't make me feel very good about myself, and also like weight gain and stuff from some health issues that I have. Now, you may be saying, no, well, why don't you just put on some makeup? Well, good suggestion, honestly. I could if I was good at it, but honestly, I suck at putting on makeup. I grew up as a tomboy, but in 5th grade, I went to modeling and acting school because I wanted to be a model and an actress. Well, as most of you know, I ended up joining the Marine Corps instead. So the only type of makeup I know how to put on is like camo face paint. So, yeah. Anyway, so that's some Noelle lore for you. Let's go ahead and get into the arc that I read. Now, I usually post on Mondays. I'm currently recording this on Tuesday, and we'll probably have this up Tuesday night. And then I want to try to also post another video on Thursday or Friday, maybe. I got a couple things going on. Now, a lot of you guys know that I'm moving across country, and so that is going to be a whole ordeal, right? So, oh, and I'm starting school this Thursday. Yeah! But I'm starting school this Thursday, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm going to school at Arizona State University online. I don't know why I'm telling you that. And I'm doing their Spanish program, their bachelor's Spanish program, which I'm really looking forward to. And if you guys would like more information on that and kind of how the story is on that, if you guys want me to post some vlogs about doing schoolwork and you want to be motivated to study and read and whatever, just let me know. And, you guys are my nakamas, so I will do. Little Garden takes place in chapters 115 through 129, and it's volume 13, 14, and 15. And I usually like to have pretty organized videos, as organized as I can get it. And so we'll be starting off with volume 13. In volume 13, we meet the Little Garden. We also meet the giants of the Little Garden. And I really liked this quote that was in the book, and it says, "To its inhabitants, the island truly is a little garden. Therefore, let us call it Little Garden, Land of the Giants." By Louis Arnott, I guess, explorer. We meet Broggy, and he comes in, and he's like, "Do you guys have some ale?" Really? He just has like the cutest face ever. Like, this is the cutest giant I've ever seen in my life. Not that I've seen any giants, I guess, other than on the green bean cans. And then we meet Dory, his longtime friend slash enemy, I guess. We find out that they are from the village of Elbhath. Elbhath. I don't know how to say it actually, but it's okay. And it's supposed to be a village of warriors. My question is this on another island, as they say, or did they just forget where they are currently because of their backstory on how they started this argument a long time ago? Or was this just an island they visited and they got stuck on this island because of their argument? That's a whole question I think that I have that maybe, I guess we'll find out. Usopp is very set on going there to find the village of warriors. So, and we find out that it takes 1 whole year to reset the log pose. Is it pose or pose? The log. It takes 1 whole year to reset it. And I honestly didn't want to believe it because I was like, no way, it takes a freaking year to reset on this island. And, I thought it was I really enjoyed this arc as a whole. I enjoyed the island itself. I enjoyed the whole concept of it and why it's called Little Garden. I enjoyed the giants, and Dory and Broggy fighting for 100 years over something that they forgot about. I am very intrigued about the village of warriors, especially because of Dory and Broggy, and it brought out, I don't want to get ahead of myself actually. So let me do a little caveat and say that I love giants. I think that they're cool and that we don't really see a lot of them in many stories. Now, if you are like me and you really enjoy giants in your story, I would recommend reading Malice. I feel like I read this arc at the perfect time because I am currently reading Malice by John Gwynne, which was a book that wasn't supposed to be published because he originally wrote it for his sons, which I thought was so precious, and like his wife and everything too. And his family was like, this book is just too good. You need to publish it. And so he did. And it's a whole series, and it is a finished series, and there are multiple subsequent series that come after as well. And yeah, I think that reading Malice alongside reading this arc, which has completely different type of giants, but they both still have giants, I just feel like it was just meant to be. It was such a good time for me to have read this arc. Flash over to Kuker Island. We meet Mr. 3, who looks absolutely disgusting and ate the wax fruit and is a wax man, and I think that his fighting style is really interesting. You know, I definitely feel like it's who is the Frenchman Candle from Beauty and the Beast? He's given his vibes, honestly, except less cool and like more nerdy and like gross and waxy. And then we also meet Miss Golden Week, and I don't know why, but in my brain, like I always have to make connections to things. Like I'm always making analogies and things like that. And for some reason, she gives me Codename Kid vibes. Let me know if you guys feel the same way, but she gives me Codename Kid vibes. I love Dory and Broggy fighting. They just fight like old friends because that's exactly what they are. Back to what I was about to spoil myself on was that Usopp, like you see more of his ambitions and his dreams and his personality come out of him really wanting to be a brave warrior. You know, he says he wants to be a pirate leader or whatever, but what he really wants is to be a warrior. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be brave like these warriors, and I really did enjoy seeing that part of Usopp, and you know, obviously still seeing him battle with himself, with just being very self-conscious and not very brave at all. But you know, we're seeing his ambitions, and I think that he does have it within himself to be brave and to be the person that he wants to be. He just needs to get over his mental blocks of it, and like, don't we all need to get over our own mental blocks of things? And oh gosh, so the end of volume 13 ends with Dory getting ale exploded in his stomach and him thinking that it was our crew, which it was not. And we knew it wasn't. We knew it couldn't be our crew. So we find out in volume 14 that Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week are also on the island. And then they're shortly after joined by Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, who we thought Mr. 5 was dead, but he wasn't, just very severely beat up. Then we find out a little bit more about Dory and Broggy, and that they were a part of the giant warrior band, and that it was their names are Dory the Blue and Broggy the Red. Now, as a side note, I do want to talk about one of the SBSs where Oda is talking about the Doskoi Panda, and that it's like a store, a brand that's currently popular in the East Blue. And I think it's just so entertaining how he interacts with his audience. And like, I can only aspire to be like Oda and how he responds to people who are appreciating his art and his work. And I feel like, you know, on YouTube, I kind of want to create a community. I want to be able to talk with you guys, and I want to be able to just be able to have that sort of like relationship, you know, I guess. And I don't know, I just love that Oda's always bringing his world to life, even within the SBSs, and, you know, just acting like he's talking like his characters and things like that. I just think that Oda is so precious, like just as a human, I feel like, and you can see that all throughout his works of art, and then through his SBSs and talking to people. I just think that is just so amazing. So Oda wanted to slap me in the face with the panel when Dory and Broggy are fighting and Broggy wins, even though Broggy knew something was up, and he's just crying and he's got this big smile on his face, but you know that he's not happy about it. Like, he's very sad that he's getting this victory. I feel like part of him was like, oh yay, victory after 100 years, but at the same time, I think like that's like a 0.1%, and the rest of it, the 99.99%, is him being sad that his longtime friend, his, you know, basically his only reason for living at this point, is gone, done. And then we get another, in my notes I said, Oda, are you kidding me? And then another one, I said, Oda, you're killing me, because the freaking duck, I forgot his name, was getting abused, trying to give up so that by Mr. 5, gosh, so that he could give up information about Vivi and stuff, and he just wasn't going to. Speaking of the princess, Oda, why are her weapons stored in her chest and she pulls them out of the areola area? Like, she already has the hypnotic design, which wasn't bothering me as much, but then when I realized that's where she pulls out her strings, her little weapons, I was like, okay, not my favorite, I must say. So in volume 14 is when we find out that Mr. 3 is a wax man, and then we find out more about what kind of honor code that these warriors have. When they're asking Bragi, why would you fight him if you knew that he was not okay, if you knew something was up? And he said, when he was willing to suffer so in order to fight, how could I dishonor him by showing him mercy? And that's a hard line. Like, that is so good. And I thought it was absolutely crazy when the Candleman created... Also, the Candleman's powers are pretty cool. I said Candleman, but like wax man, wax fruit, whatever. Mr. 3, I think his powers are pretty cool. It's just like he could basically create anything out of wax, couldn't he? Like, I think that's pretty interesting. But he creates these swords and puts them in Bragi's hands and feet to keep him on the ground, which I think is pretty brutal. And then, me being a Christian, I am immediately thinking of when Christ was on the cross and like had the nails in his hands and feet. So then we have a couple people. We have Princess Vivi, Nami, and Zoro in this candle wax thing. And Zoro is standing there and is like, for the giant, he's like, you're going to be stronger than any human without your hands and feet. And that Zoro could still fight without his legs. He didn't need them. He's a swordsman. And he says, Nami says, you're not serious, are you? Without your legs, how will you fight? He said, I'll fight to win. And then there's a panel of like Zoro's face and Bragi's face, and they're both kind of have the same smile going on. And I thought that was a hard line too. Then I brought up this question. Well, one, Zoro's awesome. I love him. I think that he's my favorite character right now. Like, personality-wise, design-wise, fighting style-wise, everything. He's my favorite. I want to know who y'all's favorite is at this point, because I know I have asked in another video, but at this point, who's the favorite? Is that a deciding factor for some people to be like, okay, Zoro is like the real deal. Like, he's just the best, you know? I don't know. I think that it definitely has me feeling those sort of feelings, you know? So we have Miss Golden Week and we have Mr. 3, who Mr. 3 can create armor. He can create anything he wants out of this wax, but the wax can obviously be warmed up, melted, whatever, because each devil fruit is going to have its weaknesses other than just not being able to swim. And then we have Miss Golden Week, who can paint hypnotic powers of color. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, that's just something that I would have never thought about. I thought that was very cool. And then, you know, hers can be just wiped away. But, you know, I wonder if the devil fruits are varied in power, or if it's just like the wielder, just like knowing how to use them, how long they've had them. Like, how much does that weigh on how powerful they are? Or are the devil fruits, do they actually have like a certain level of, this one is objectively more powerful than this one, or whatever, or subjectively more powerful, whatever. I'm really interested to know, and if it's a spoiler, don't tell me, but I'm kind of just wondering, because I feel like they wouldn't have ones that are more powerful. I do think that it's mainly just the wielder, but I think it would definitely be interesting. And then we flash over to our lazy bone stupid airhead guy, Sanji, who goes into the wax house all by himself because he's like, oh, well, no one is here. Wonder what's going on. I wonder if the girls need me. And he goes into the wax house and he's sipping tea. First of all, you're not worried that it would be like poisoned or anything? Oh wait, is he? I actually don't know if he's in the wax house at this point or if he is in the ship, but he's there sipping tea. And no, I think he's in the wax house because he has Mr. 3's cup, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. I'm trying my best here, okay? And says, maybe I shouldn't be sitting here sipping tea. And I was like, you're Sanji, I can't with you right now. I also really do like Sanji, even though he's like a little womanizer guy. He's so funny. So volume 15, we have Mr. Zero is planning something at Alabasta, and Sanji, he picks up the snail phone and Mr. Zero is the one who was calling Mr. 3, and because Sanji was acting as Mr. 3 and lied, Zero was like, oh, you lied to me? You said they were dead, but they're not? Well, okay. Tight. And then, send somebody out to get Mr. 3. So very conveniently, Sanji really helped out the crew by getting Mr. 3 killed. And he also beat up the, what are they? The otter and the bird. I forget what they're called. I want to say unmentionables. That's not right though. Anyway, he also beats them up. And then the panel of Bragi going like this, and then Dory coming back up, and his eyeballs are out, and you see the whole crew at the bottom, and their eyeballs are like this far out from their head. Oh my gosh, I thought it was so funny. It was so funny. Yeah, that was very precious. And then we see that Captain Chainsmoker is him and Tashigi are listening over the black transponder snail, which I also thought was very cool, like a little wristwatch with a little snail coming out, and they can listen to other people's calls and stuff. Like they're doing some intel, which I think is very cool, very, fun. And yeah, I love the transponder snail, and I do love the snail phones as well, as some of you guys already know. And I'm glad that I'm finally getting more of that. And so they're listening to the call between, well, Sanji, supposed to be Mr. 3, and Zero, and they kind of find out the whereabouts of where our crew is going to be headed to. And then we have Mr. 11, who is currently trapped on Smoker's ship, and he's trying to pretend like he's not a part of the criminal organization. And I do like his design as well, so I'm very excited and hope that I get to see what kind of powers Mr. 11 has. So as we get to the end of this story, we find out that Bragi and Dory had caught giant creatures just like Sanji and Zoro at the beginning of our story of this arc. They go and try to find whichever animal to find out, and then are competing on which one is bigger and are fighting about it. And then we see that Bragi and Dory have a similar story in that the mountains that are on the little garden island are actually the bones of the creatures that they had caught so long ago, and that they were fighting over which one was biggest, just because a little girl came up and was like, yeah, but which one's bigger? And I thought that was really precious. And then at the end, we see that Zoro is really wanting to get stronger. First of all, how are his legs doing? He chopped them halfway off. So, secondly, he's up there with like 4 or 5 plates just like swinging around this freaking thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see why Zoro's so strong. It's because he's training. It's probably not that he has any sort of superhuman strength. It's just that he has been training his entire life, that he's a strong man, So I really enjoyed this arc. Nami really wasn't a big part in this arc. If like not that she wasn't a big part, I just feel like she didn't shine through as much, and maybe that's just because she's still not one of my favorite characters. So maybe it's just my bias, but we get to see, obviously, like I was talking about Usopp and him and his ambitions and his goals and his dreams, and we're starting to see those come a bit more to life, a bit more to fruition. Like he has an actual tangible thing set now. Because before it's like, oh, I want to do this. And it's more of like a mentality of he wants to be stronger. He wants to be more powerful. Well, now he has something tangible. Like, I want to go to the village of warriors so that I can learn what it means to be like a true warrior and fight with honor. And to have this sort of confidence that they have, and be brave and be able to take pride in himself and what he does. And then we have Zoro, who is just BA all the time, and very self-confident, very much an absolute opposite of Usopp, which I think is very cool that we have, people who are opposite and people who are alike. We have Sanji as well, who I feel like is a bit like Zoro, except less serious, and he is a bit more dense, kind of like Luffy, because I feel like those two, Luffy and Sanji, are always getting into being ridiculous and everything, and just saying something dumb or doing something dumb. But Zoro does too. He plays around as well sometimes. And then sometimes, Nami has to be our voice of reason, the person who's getting us from point A to point B, because if it was just the boys, they would not get anywhere, which isn't that just the story of life, right? What else? Obviously, we see Sanji being silly and, you know, not with the crew because he's literally just chilling, being peaceful because he has no idea what the heck is going on. And we have the princess, who is incredibly brave. I do really like her character because of just how brave she is and how she had to go into Baroque works as a spy, basically. And she's pretty awesome, I think. And, you know, they even mention that, you know, like, oh, well, you know, of course she's brave. She had to, like, be a spy in the Baroque works, a criminal organization of bounty hunters. So of course she was going to be brave. Of course she's going to do things that other people wouldn't. I'm definitely excited to see where the story goes. I don't exactly have many predictions right now. I'm very interested to see if, because there are 1,000 chapters, I'm interested to see if our characters will go off of the Grand Line. And I feel like they will. I feel like they'll go to all of the quadrants of the seas before they go all the way through the Grand Line, because I feel like that makes more sense. Because, like, if we're in the Grand Line so early on, then there wouldn't be so many chapters, I think, if we're just on the Grand Line the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we have to go off course for a little bit and then come back on. I don't know. That's just the feelings right now. What else? I am planning on reading the Drum Island arc, which is chapters 130 through 154, and I'm planning on reading that next and making a video on that. As I will be starting school, One Piece fans will be very, very excited that I will be making more One Piece videos than novel videos, because my novels will take me a lot longer to read because I'll be focusing on school. But One Piece is quite easy to read relatively. It's definitely much faster, and the way that I have it set up to where I'm doing each arc as a separate video, it would be a lot easier for me to keep producing those videos and keep pushing them out. But I just, don't come at me and say, oh, she's gonna be a manga channel only, she's gonna be a One Piece channel, because everybody said that in the beginning, and that is not my ideal choice, because I definitely want to be able to talk about all things fantasy and all things books and all things life and Christianity and everything like that. So I'll just go ahead and bring this video to a close because I just started rambling, but that is what I do every single video. But anyways, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Let me know your favorite parts of this arc or your favorite parts of One Piece up to this point. Let me know how you guys feel about giants and if I have convinced you to read Malice, because Malice is all about giants, humans versus giants, and I have really been enjoying that book alongside of reading One Piece. Very good, awesome, epic fantasy. And then we have One Piece, which is also very good, awesome, epic fantasy that's also absurdist and all this other kinds of stuff. It's just, One Piece is really just its own thing. And yeah, other than that, I think that's about it. If you want to talk to me about anything else in the comments, just let me know. And I'm so glad that you guys joined me here today. So yeah, God bless.